Alright, just left Yin Yang Ching Chings, right? And the fortune cookie said you will soon take a very pleasant and successful trip. How ironic is that? I had to take an unpleasant one first, though, huh? You know what I'm saying? Oh, shit. Yeah. Let me hit the telly, man. I'm fucking bush. God damn. Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. Some shit. Tyler Perry Studios is up there. God damn. Ain't that some shit? Didn't even notice. Yeah, nigga. Sam Sim in the spot, man. Over by my niece's crib. Early in the morning, just got finished jogging and shit around this bitch. This is, just looking at this playground, just sitting down. I just thought about it. This is a good spot for me to sit down and lay some shit out real quick. Just based off a conversation I had last night. So I didn't get in here until like 4 o'clock in the morning. So, New Orleans has been wild this trip here. So, in regards to these circular arguments, right? Because, there definitely are circular arguments on YouTube in the black YouTube sector. And it's Sunday morning in this bitch, so there's a church somewhere around. But, the reason why they're circular is because everyone really wants to speak on a general aspect of it, and I understand it. I don't know, with myself, honestly, I can say that, when I do have these conversations with people, I do go into depth. I was asked about protection the other night from one of my fellow YouTubers, right? Because I don't really like saying any names about motherfuckers. You know, some of these guys are like well known and shit on YouTube. Some of them are like mediocre known, and I usually get like motherfuckers asking me like, who is it? Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Like, I won't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the same guy who asked me who was I talking about on another topic when we were talking about protection, black women receiving protection and shit, right? Which is not really what I want to discuss right now. Let me light this blunt up. What I really want to discuss is one of the subtopics that never really gets addressed. Hold up. So the topic is like vasectomies. Because last night, right, talking to a couple women, and we were talking about the dating game, and talking about expectations as far as dating, and um, how you adapt to a certain type of person, and are you willing to adapt to that certain person, right? So one woman, she brought up the topic. She was like, well, I can't get with a guy who has a vasectomy. She was with a guy who was previously married for like 3 years, and he was in a relationship as well. Man, that motherfucking bell is getting on my damn nerves. All right, so she was in the relationship with the guy, and he was engaged at one point and he had another kid. So he had two kids, right? So he decided to get a vasectomy. His second relationship did not work out, and now all of a sudden his nuts are clipped. You know what I'm saying? So she had to think about that shit because she only has one child. And, she's like, well, I still want kids. I'm 35 years old. I still want kids, right? So, based on the fact that this man had a vasectomy, she dated the relationship pretty much. And I was like, you know what? I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. Now, I've heard a lot of guys in MGTOW. I've heard a lot of like blood, red pill motherfuckers talk about, you know, getting a vasectomy so they won't have any kids. Meanwhile, they're out fucking prostitutes and shit like that. I mean, I've had these conversations with them and told them how fucked up that was because it may get to a point where you may get into a relationship with someone that you really like and you may want to have children. Now you fucked yourself over. Um, I don't really think men should get vasectomies, to be honest with you. Unless you're married, unless you've been married for quite some time, and it just depends on the woman as well. Because when women age, it gets more detrimental for them to have babies, to have kids. It's just far more dangerous for a woman to go through the process of childbirth than it is with a guy to just go ahead and just nut in her, right? So, with that being said, getting the vasectomy was something that I was always afraid of. Like, I was like, nah, I mean, I could never do that. Now, I do know some guys who have gotten them. Most of them live down south. You know, I've never seen anybody up north who actually had it. Even the word itself, like, it's never really used in, Ohio, Philly, Detroit, other places that I've traveled to. I don't really hear that shit. But down here in New Orleans, it's like, yeah, motherfuckers is paying money for certain types of surgeries. So, with that being said, I'm like, man, how the fuck can you do that shit to yourself? Um, and he actually felt some kind of way from what she told me. She felt that, he just started to get a bit obnoxious. He was very highly upset just based off the fact that she liked him, but the fact that she wanted to still produce and have a family, have another kid, have another sibling for her daughter, being with a guy who had a vasectomy was not the option. And I was like, wow. I mean, you're truly on point with that. There's some guys on YouTube like who would actually do that shit. Like they've actually come up with the notion that getting a vasectomy, going like MGTOW, deep MGTOW, is actually the way to do it. And it avoids child support. It avoids, just having to deal with the woman for 18 to 21 years with, the concept of making sure that this particular boy or girl has the substantial amount of, necessities, that they require to survive. As far as like education and clothes and shoes and things like that. So I was like, man, that shit is deep. I didn't think women really gave a fuck. I mean, in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, you know what? They would definitely care about it, if they wanted to have a family. But I mean, if you're just going out fucking, which a lot of these guys who I know down here who have received vasectomies, they have multiple kids. These guys like have 5 kids plus, and they're like, well, you know what? I'm still sexually active. I need to get me a vasectomy just to make sure that I'm, not producing any more kids, which is quite understandable. But then there's that relationship factor. It's like, damn, man. So when she broke that shit down to me, I was like, you know what? I got to definitely discuss this. I have to set a premise on my YouTube channel about this. And it's ironic looking at this video right now, just looking at this camera, it's like there's no kids outside on the playground. I was here a couple of days ago. I mean, this month.